are listening to Aim Higher, a Catholic podcast designed to instruct and to encourage the daily practice of our faith. Pax et bonum, peace and good to you all. This is Aim Higher podcast. I am Father Anthony. With me is Sister Catherine. And with us is our, I'll say special guest. Special?
I'm special.
Yeah,
Yes.
Bridget Edgington. Good afternoon, sister. Good afternoon, Bridget. How are you two doing? Has anything changed since I last spoke to you about 10 seconds ago?
No.
Perfect. Wow. It's okay. Way to go out of the gate with that. Okay. I was hoping for some interesting anecdote.
Okay,
Maybe did you have for breakfast this morning? Did you talk to
salad.
anybody interesting? What, a salad?
Mhm.
Did you have arugula in it?
Yes.
Oh yeah, you gotta have arugula. It's
And
just
pumpkin
amazing.
seeds.
What is that flavor of arugula? I don't know what it is. It's just so good. It's like it's almost
Mhm.
toasty.
Mm-hmm. It's the lettuce leaf of choice here in Rochester, New York. So I
I
don't
like
usually buy
arugula.
anything else.
I like
Occasionally
a-
spinach, but not for salad.
I don't mind an arugula, spinach, even a kale mixture. But as long as I get my arugula.
I will say that I'm not usually super fan about kale, but when we were down in Kentucky, and this was definitely my favorite dinner of the whole celebration retreat thing was when Beatrice made us dinner and she had a kale salad. I thought, okay, this is how kale should be done. Because we've probably seen online people like they make kale chips. It's like, well, look, no amount of burning it is going to turn it into a chip. It's not going to make it. So
I'm a fan of those kale chips. Like, let me put the kale chips or the cauliflower in there and burn them and then eat them. I'm a fan.
well, I'd be willing to try it again. But,
Wait. I'm sorry, Bridget. What did you say?
If you put kale or you put like cauliflower and you like almost get it burnt, roasting it in the oven, it's pretty delicious.
kind of like Brussels sprouts.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Oh,
Maybe I've just been doing
well
that
then.
wrong.
Do you put like some salt on it, like some sea salt on it? Or
Yeah. So typically you put like olive oil over it and then like sea salt or some type of a seasoning.
yeah.
Salt, pepper, something like that. Bake it in the
Now
oven
that is
till it's almost burnt.
that that is a snack I could chow down on. That sounds delicious.
And feel good about it too.
Put
All right, well,
kale on the list. Perfect. All right. Well, that's today's podcast. No, actually, no. It's kind of, is this the second year or the third year that we've had Bridget on coming up? I don't remember.
this is the second time. I mean, we did a podcast
think
with her
we're
few years ago, so we didn't.
So after this,
Yeah.
after this year, it will be our annual children's retreat
I
review.
don't think I did it last year. I think I did it the year before. I think we skipped
Really?
last year.
Well, then we're ruining the whole annual. The whole point of it being
We're at
annual
like a
happens every year.
Biannual.
it's biannual every other year.
My mug says coffee, but I'm not drinking coffee. Okay, well,
Mm.
it's our review.
This was the 10th year that I've been doing the
Gosh,
children's
you were so much younger then.
No,
so much
right?
more
I had so much
energy.
more.
Yeah.
Oh, you weren't even in your 30s then.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't. I
That's
was still
scary
like-
when you worded that. I was like, ooh, that doesn't feel good. Why did you say that, sister?
2015, huh?
2016, 10th year.
16.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I'm not.
Well, wait. It's the 10th year, but wouldn't it have been 2020, 2015?
No, because the first year was 2016.
one. Then 2017 was 2.
One.
The math
2018 was
checks
3.
out. I counted on my hands and everything. Yeah, it's
Father,
like
would
you get confused. It's kind of like the year 2000. That's not the beginning of the new century.
Well,
2001, same concept here.
well,
Okay.
really, Father, you're in your 41st year, even though you're only 40.
I know, right?
But I didn't start speaking in those terms until Bishop Giles talked about it and corrected me on a whole bunch of stuff. So
I mean, you were around. We were around a bit before we were born. For a little bit.
there's that too. There's that too.
You've been
So,
sticking
some more
around
than
there.
others.
So okay, yeah. Yeah, some of us got out early. Good, good behavior. Okay. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, the 10-year. Here you go. That's what this will be. Celebrating the 10-year anniversary of the children's retreat, which only got good about how many years? About 4 years ago. That's when it really got good.
About 2022, I think, was the best, like, when he started getting the groove of it.
Let's drive.
Well, see, you see, we're going to talk about it. I don't want to now jump to that, but I better write that down as a question. But okay, whatever. So we're going to talk about. You all gave me something that we're going to follow, right? So after we exchange pleasantries, he actually wrote that. Here are some points we're
Of
going to
course it is.
discuss. Oh, this is actually the next point. Oh, so you actually all were following that. Oh, that's really nice. Okay, all right. What now I know that with the retreat it started off localized. I mean it was the children at St. Joseph's Mission in Kentucky. And how many of the children, I mean from the original kids there, how many were there this year? I was told a number, like some of the
So if we are talking if I look at the picture from the very, very first retreat,
Mhm.
there's 1, 2, 3 that were there this year, that were there the
Oh, yeah.
first year.
Okay. Yep.
So 3, but 2 of them are now teenagers and were my group leaders. So really there was one child that has done all 10 retreats doing all of the activities
as a child, not becoming a group leader.
as a child.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I might take this away that I'm not sure either one of you were anticipating, but I'll ask, what prompted you, Bridget, to say, "Okay, this is something we need to do?" What was it?
My cousins at the time, so they would have been, let's see, 10 years ago, 9, 10, around that age, said that it was very unfair that when we were children, my aunts planned children's retreats for us and we got to camp and do things at church. And it was very unfair that they never got to do anything like that.
Mhm.
And so we decided that we needed to do something for them. And so, because I am not a camping person, I would not commit to actual physical tents and camping. So we decided instead we could do a retreat. And we decided on 3 days, just in the mornings. And then the first year we actually did like afternoon activities, like we went to the zoo one day.
Mhm.
But we decided a retreat was a better way to do it. And so we started that first year with about 11 children. My cousin said it was unfair that they never had anything.
Well, they were right. The older we get, and we look back, how appreciate those activities that we had. I remember, it was, last year, the 2 of the kids I brought with me, the, Hanaker kids, they both said they wish they had this when they were younger, available. They appreciate it now, but what an impression it does make upon, kids. It's something you always have with you, and it's, also showing that things that we do considering our faith can be interesting and fun. And I know trying to make things fun, although when you are the organizer, you don't always get to be the one who is engaged in the next fun because you gotta keep it all going, which it's not an easy job. My Zucchetto off to you there, Bridget.
But no, that's why we started. And so now the ones that were the oldest, so like I said, there are 2 that were there at the first year. Now they've been there every single year.
Uh-huh.
But now they come back and they actually help with the crafts and help lead the children around. Because since that first year, like for the past 5 years, I think we've had over 30 children there.
Mhm.
Which, I mean, if you think about it, it's like the size of a class, and a typical
Yeah.
public school has about 30 children, but where they range in age so much, like, I think that makes it a little bit harder. Like, we have from babies all the way up to 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds 11-year-olds, I think, doing the activities.
And of course, one of the things I noticed, we have a lot of the parents help and assist,
Mhm.
doing various, craft centers, not stations, right? That we call it stations?
Stations or centers,
Centers,
whichever
station
one.
1. And
Well, there's one year we specifically used the term centers because we were covering the season of Lent and we were talking about stations. We didn't want to confuse anyone.
Oh, I re
Because we did that year we did the Stations of the Cross instead of the Rosary at one point, and so when I kept
mm,
saying we were doing stations, everyone thought we were going out to pray. So we had to use centers.
I remember that was my 2nd year
It
there,
was.
and, what year did you
Well, that was your
No, it wasn't.
that
It
was
was
your
the third.
because you were there the first year you came, we were covering the mass, and that was before we did centers, and it was more of a free for all.
my first
And then the second year you came, we did Christmas,
well,
and
my
then the
my
third year was Lent.
my first year, I remember doing something with Saint Anthony and the Fishes, but I was gonna before I got to me, I was gonna say I wanted to ask sister, when did you first go down?
Well, I'm the handy dandy. She'd have put 2019. So it's because of Bridget that I got to go. So
So as I was planning that one in 2019, I was talking to His Excellency, and I said, "Your Excellency, can you spare sister? Can she come down and do it and be part of the retreat as well?" Because I thought it was very important for our young children to start interacting more with the religious. And when I was a young child, we never had any type of sisters or anything around. The only religious we saw, Brother Dominic and the priest. So I thought it was
Mhm.
important for the children to start seeing Sister Catherine and getting to know her. So I asked His Excellency if she could come down. And so she came down in 2019.
Getting to know you, want to know all about you. I'm
um
sorry, I'm just picturing sister singing that song with all the kids gathering around her.
well, if
It'd
I
be
ever really get the ukulele down, maybe that'll happen.
make it happen, sister.
Okay, okay.
I'll
Put it
pay
on my
for the
list.
lessons.
Okay. I don't,
I'll
I'll
take up
go
the
yep,
collection.
yeah, there you go. But I was just gonna add though, Father, so your first year was not the year you dressed up as Saint Nicholas. That was the following year for Christmas.
I remember the first year I did that thing with Saint Anthony. I got the thing with the fishes, and
Okay, okay,
I
okay.
brought
I
the
think you said
infamous
Nicholas.
kazoos.
Yes, where
Which I
everybody's like,
remember when I brought that,
"Why?"
Bridget was like, "You do not know what you've done." I'm like, we did have to put a lid on that almost right away. I mean, it was, the kids would have gone crazy with it, but I did bring, I brought Grace and Lucy with me
Yes,
that year and my dad, and then we had it was good. We had a lot of fun. But then next
yeah,
year, St. Nicholas, and then the year after that, what was it? Easter. Yeah, Lent and Easter, and, that's when I brought Chesterton, right? That was
correct.
the first year with Chesterton.
I think Chesterton's first year was Lent and Easter, yes.
Yeah, I was, I remember that because I was St. Nicholas was easy, dress up as St. Nicholas, talk to the children, even though Bishop
Scared
Giles
some
was
of
like,
them.
"What?" Yeah, well, I threw a beard at one of them, and, although she did bring that up to me this
The
last
mother or the
yeah, no, she did, Lainey, she
oh.
brought it up to me, and she says, "You remember you threw the beard at my." I said, "Yeah, it's funny, wasn't it?" Poor little child just ran away screaming, and, it was the beard was fine. It hasn't harmed anyone in weeks. But no, that was a lot of fun, but I just remember, Bishop Giles heckling me, and I had to ask him to stop heckling me. It was, because, it's difficult because it's the bishop, and certain things you'd like to be able to say, but, you can't, and, there's a difference between heckling for adults and for children. Not that you're doing anything crude or rude, but, I don't want things going over the children's head and them getting bored.
Or
I
for them
think
to pick up the habit.
but, for me, it was the following year just being like, "Okay, what am I gonna do? I have no idea what I'm gonna do." It was a last minute decision to bring a puppet.
Yeah, when I ordered him, we weren't even sure he was gonna arrive on time, but
Yeah, that's why we got the second one just in case because he came earlier. So it was great, and the kids seem to like it, but there's the added, music, which I think is huge, bringing, good old, Grandpa Jim,
I do think the
yeah,
children enjoy Mr. Lent and doing music with him
yeah.
and learning different songs, and I will say I think last year's music was probably their favorite with the Father Abraham. Between that and Rise and Shine, I think those are
Rise
their
and
2
shine
staples.
and give God the glory, glory, rise and shine and
It's my
give
alarm.
God the glory, glory. And those are fun. Those are fun and upbeat. And yeah, the kids they just ate it up. And I know Dad had a lot of fun doing that.
I will add that I'll put a link for people if they wanna see the concert.
The children's retreat is a lot of fun. You're glad the children enjoy themselves. You hope they learn something, and I feel these last few years that they are really starting to grasp the importance of learning the content, not just having fun. I hope. Maybe I'm just being hopeful. Maybe a little bit. When I had my talks with them, they seem to remember what I was talking about. I mean, I'm not going to expect the 2-year-old necessarily,
Yeah.
but hoping just to have that good impression about the faith is not something dreary. It's not something boring. It is something fun and exciting. It can be because as a
Mhm.
child's relationship with God. I'm glad we enjoy it. It's one of the highlights of my year. We've also had this conversation. By the end of it, we're pretty wiped out.
I do think it's leaving an impression on the children. So in addition to the annual retreat that we have every July, we've also started doing Saturday retreats, typically about once a month, the first Saturday of every month. And so now it's gotten to the point where, like, we didn't do one at the beginning of August because it was right after this, and we didn't do one at the beginning of July because it was right before this. At the beginning of July, all the children were like, "Why didn't we have a retreat? When's our retreat? When do we get to come up to church and play?" So I do think they're starting to associate and have good impressions of the retreats and looking forward to them and wanting to do the activities and everything that's planned for them. So I'm hoping it's leaving a good impression.
What's probably the most surprising thing a child has told you they liked about your mini retreats?
So the mini retreats, we have them do different activities than we do the annual retreats. So for some of the mini retreats, we go upstairs and actually clean the church. So we have the children's dust the pew and vacuum. When we don't do that, they ask me why they don't get to go clean. Last might have been last November, His Excellency actually took the children up to the cemetery and had them clean the headstones in the cemetery. And on the Feast of the Portiuncula, we had taken all of the children up to the cemetery to find someone to pray for, and one of the children actually asked me, "Why haven't we come back up here and clean the cemetery again?" So it's interesting to me, like, those works of corporal works of mercy that, like, they're picking up on them, and they're like, "We should be doing this. Can we go clean the cemetery, or can we go clean the church?" So I think that's very encouraging that they're actually enjoying that, and they're asking if we can do that at the retreats. So I'm shocked by that. Although, as we've realized with these retreats, the favorite of pretty much everyone is always the clay. They ask me if they can play with clay every single month.
Which is still why I think you should take my suggestion for your Lent one, is that there'll be no clay. That's your Lenten penance, no clay at this retreat.
I do not have them play with clay every month. They play with
Yeah.
clay, like, twice a year. It just happened to be I decided to do it during this annual retreat in July, and we did Heaven is Like, so we gave them the different parables of heaven is like, and then they could make whatever heaven is like with the clay, and that
Yeah.
was lots of everyone's favorite.
That
Which
was pretty interesting, and then some kids were very creative about that.
they were. I think some of them made, like, an angel.
Mhm,
Some of them took some of the suggestions and made, like, the wheat field with the wheat and the different grounds for the, wheat to grow on.
mhm,
The parent that we had in charge of the center actually made a marriage feast, so she made a banquet table with all of the little foods on it.
mhm.
Clay seems to be a winner every time we do it.
Well, because your creativity can run wild, and it's various colors, right?
Oh, yeah. They get
So,
to choose their
maybe
color.
for Lent, just have plain white clay.
So what's funny is one year when we did a mini retreat, I think it was before we were doing them every month, but we were doing them quarterly at that point. We actually took brown clay and they made little crowns of thorns and they put toothpicks in them to symbolize the thorns. And as Lent progressed, they were supposed to take a thorn out of the crown every time they did something good.
Oh, that's
So that was the first time we let them play with clay.
We gave them a few extras to put in if they did something bad. That's a
But
pretty
yeah,
clever idea because
Well,
it
and it
makes it tangible for them. What we do, it's kinda, it kinda harkens back to the idea of the advent calendar before it became a, kind of social posh thing that I don't know, but I guess that's even ridiculous how I'm putting it. Before it became more standard, the idea, it's just something that, you have a good day, you're counting down to the birth of our Lord. Those things may have an impression, and it's important, not just for the children, but for us to remember these things and just to know how the relationship that we are to have with God, it requires all of who we are, not just the spirit, not just the body, but both. The liturgy, what the liturgy is in public worship is the ceremony. It's expressing what the devotion we have inward in an outward expression. This is why we genuflect. This is why we bow. This is why we kneel or stand or sit at various times. It is to show that honor towards Almighty God, which is the ultimate reason why we do everything. And as St. Paul said, whether you are working, sleeping, eating, or playing, do all for the love of God, and trying to encourage children, encouraging ourselves as well. Whatever we do, we can do it for the love of God. And it's it's one of the simplest things that we can do, but to teach children how to continuously having God in their minds as they go through their day, just remembering him as you would remember anything, but it's something that you look forward to. And that's the thing I like to see, looking forward to these things and looking forward to being around one another and playing and talking about our Lord. That's what I love to see. That's what it just encourages you when you look at the Catholic youth and the future.
well, and it's interesting because when we taught Father, I think when we were kind of looking over the pictures, I mean, I had a sense of all the different stations kind of to a degree, but like you said, you had no idea all the different things that there's a lot going on,
Yeah.
but what specifically, I mean, and it's kind of as we talked when we talked about our youth retreat, once you finish one, you start thinking about the next one. I think it was barely done and we started, talking about dates for next year, theme for next year, because there's a lot that goes into it. And I was thinking something had to do with the adults. I think it's also just important that other adults just to get to be a part of it too. And as you've said, there are parents that take over a center. Some are just kid
Mhm.
wrangling with the real little ones. This was because of the celebration that we'll talk about. Father Joseph from Texas was there for one. He got there a day early, so he got to see it. And he did make the comment how he is surprised to see so many parents. And I said, well, this is not a drop your kid off situation because there's just too many kids. It
Yeah.
gives the parents chance to maybe squeeze in a little time talking with another Catholic adult, to also attend mass, to attend the activities, to learn something too. I mean, I think the adults get a kick out of Chesterton as much as the children. I thoroughly enjoy the children's concerts now that that's become a thing.
Is it the plan for my father to come back this Christmas season? To come Okay,
it is.
alright,
Yeah.
good. Because he's been talking about it, and I'm like, "That is the plan, right?" Because I think he's just gonna show up
Oh,
whether you do it or
yes.
not.
We need him, but we
Yeah.
need some musical support out here in Kentucky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
it's a little bit more personal, but his sister and I have talked, it's kind of, neat to see our dad this involved at this, stage of his life. He's a grandpa now, and, it does bring, as hokey as it might sound, a bit like a youth in him as well, and excitement. Because we had the celebration, the extra music, that was done during the solemn high mass, one of the ladies that came up from Texas to lend their voices to the choir, which they did a beautiful job. One of the ladies is just shaking her head at just how dad just had that energy going from the, right in the morning with the children's retreat all the way like 10:30 at night,
Yeah,
just
that
doing
surprised
music,
me.
going over music, and he was just and he didn't look tired at all, and I said, I you had to call me to tell dad to go home, uh, basically, 'cause yeah, but he had that energy, and it's nice to kinda see that passion and, it encourages me on the other end, even the adults, to get something out of it.
Awkward
Si
silence. I think I planned that in
Yeah,
there.
okay,
Uh,
okay. I don't know, I mean, is it too we've been throwing I know you've throwing ideas for next year because there's always a theme.
There's always
There's
a
always
theme.
a theme, like, let's go 1st year, the theme was the angels.
Yep.
Classic. I mean, I'm sure focused on the 9 choirs, guardian angels, right?
No, 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 no. At this point, all of our children were small. We focused on your guardian
That's it.
angel. We focused on just angels in general. We did not go in depth with the 9 choirs.
Mhm.
We started with angels. I think His Excellency actually chose that one for us, and that first year, like, he sat on the we have a carpet down in the basement. He
Mhm.
sat on the basement and talked to the children. Like, it was very unstructured.
Okay, so the following year was the Blessed Trinity. So you took a step up from the angels to God himself.
And then we went to the Blessed
Blessed
Virgin
Virgin
Mary.
Mary, as a Virgin Mary. Following year, faith,
Mhm.
hope, and charity, and this is when sister joined as an act of
Yay.
charity.
3 theological virtues.
Yeah.
And again, at this point, they were very unstructured. It was very much we had activities and everyone did the same activity at the
at the
same
same
time.
time. Yeah, I
Okay.
remember being there not quite sure, like, what am I doing? So I just kinda just mingled.
Well, what year did you implement stations or centers?
The first year we did that was in 2022 with Christmas.
Really? Oh yeah, I guess so. Yeah, when we did the mass and I came, yeah, it was kind of
Yeah, so when we did the mass, the first year you were there and our theme was the mass, I had tried to split them into 2 groups, like the older ones and the younger ones, and had the
Mhm.
older ones, like, come and have a talk with you while the younger ones were outside playing. So we had tried to split them a little bit that year, but after that year, one of my aunts that teaches elementary school came up to me and she said, "You really need centers and smaller groups for anyone to
Mhm.
get anything out of this." So then the next year is when we actually did the centers.
But isn't this just an example of how you gotta just do it? You gotta start
Oh,
doing it,
Yeah.
because then that's what generates the ideas and the learning, because it's always learning, something you can do to, make it better. I remember, one of the years you did what wasn't an escape room, but it was a box?
Oh, I did.
You did an
So,
escape room?
it was actually it was the year of faith, hope, and charity, and we had some older like I said, like, we've had a variety of ages of children,
Mhm.
but at that point, we were focusing more on younger children, but we had some young teenagers, and so I had asked them what they wanted to do, and they were like, "We wanna do an escape room." Well, obviously, I didn't have a room for them to actually escape from, so I think they were trying to rescue a saint or something, like a saint was trapped in a box, and so they needed to try and get the saint out of the box, and we hid clues and actually had them, like, open up the Bible and find different things related to faith, hope, and charity, and different prayers and different saints, try and rescue I think it was a saint trapped in a
Right.
box. That was the
Okay, fun.
only year I've done that, and ever since, they have asked me if I will do one again. So I think that's something we should take for the youth retreat next year.
Okay, good idea. You're just gonna have to help me. Maybe
But
just
yeah, that
stopping
was
by.
I think I did that with Faith, Hope, and Charity, but it might have been with the
Well,
Saints.
I remember
But
you
then,
did
yes.
it the first year I was there because you were showing it to me, and I'm like, "I have no idea what this is," but I remember it, the older kids coming to your house to do it,
Yeah,
so that was 2019. But I know we did something in 2020 at your house too, so
I might have done 2 years for him, I don't remember.
you did
Come
it was
on.
because I remember we had the family from Ohio, like, Bridget's family's house has a pool, so a lot of people congregate there after the morning,
Yeah.
and I think they were there, and because I just remember being in that back room at your house kinda helping some of the teens, so
Yeah, we had the teens from Ohio versus the teens from Kentucky to see
yeah,
who got the better time one year.
yeah, that's what it was,
I
so
don't remember who won, but we've tried a lot of things over the years. Some have
yeah.
stuck and some have not,
Mhm. Yeah.
and some just are a little too much work, like the escape room that we cannot do every year.
Well, I remember, for 2020 when we did the Saints, and that was probably my first, like, real hand in, like, helping you put together stuff because I did, like, a Saint bingo that was
Oh,
actually
yeah.
easier than the Saint Guess Who that I made cards to fit into the Guess Who game. Fun to put together, but I was like, I don't know what to do. And then
Well, you see, already we're just talking about it, and it gets me kind of excited for doing that kind of a concept. And you could do it youth retreat. Just take the chickens out for a little while, put them in the chicken coop, and let them try to escape.
there you go.
It's like you got to clean it out.
If I were doing it up in New York, I'd do it in the library.
Okay,
I would hide clues in the library
I
and
gotta
let
write this
them
down.
if you have about 10 to 12 children,
Are you
young
writing
adults
this
like you
down,
did this
sister?
year,
Yes.
I would I would make it take up the entire space of the library so they can all be doing something at the
Okay,
same time.
but you know what this
Yeah.
means? That I have to arrange to get there a week earlier. So I don't know how these kids are going to get there next year.
Well,
We
we'll
have to
figure that
find
out.
another way. I'll take them back, but I'm gonna
Well,
fly in the week before, help this up.
I guess what you could do is one day while they're doing something else, you could be in the library figuring it out.
Oh no, I don't want some serious time thinking about it. No, I'm gonna be thinking
Mhm.
about this for a
Well,
while.
when you come
We'll
next
talk.
month, we'll kind of peruse the area and
Ooh, there
start.
we go. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I'll do. Yeah, I'm supposed to be on retreat, but
it's a working retreat.
retreat still. Well, you see, and this is how you brainstorm ideas, and it's fun when you get excited about an idea, and you just really hope that your excitement, transfers over to the children having excitement.
I think so. I think so. I think they see that we're invested and we actually do care. I think that and granted, like, Bridget's role in these retreats is what do we call it? Chaos coordinator. She manages, she has a little, what is those called?
Clipboard.
Megaphone?
And it's necessary, and, I could see how maybe some people think like, "Wow, she's not approachable, she's really," but if she does not pay attention to what's going on, it'll be insane. If Bridget's not watching the time, if Bridget's not making sure people are moving, if the flow is not there, this doesn't work. So,
It's just like anything. You need someone who's in charge to make sure things move along, or it would linger and then become stagnant.
well, kind of like a producer of a show. They're not necessarily everybody's favorite because they have to anticipate things. I mean, Bridget, you are my favorite. I just want to put that out there. But I just mean how, like, the cast, so the children and maybe some adults are all like, "Wow, could she?" No one's ever said it to me, but sometimes you have to do the unpleasant things.
It's like the stage
And
manager.
that's life.
Yeah,
But that's
yeah.
life. I mean, it's also a good example to these children, even like the older children. It's like, look, you're going to go out into the working world and you're going to be a team player and you're going to have to listen to the person in charge. You're never going to escape that. Even
Eh,
if you're your own boss, you still have to answer to somebody. So realizing that it's an important function. And if
mhm.
Bridget wasn't there, and I certainly don't want to do her job. I mean, I
I've
could
asked before, no one wants to take it. I don't understand.
I guess if you really needed me to, I could probably find a way.
Just dig deep down inside yourself, sister, and
Yeah, I'd have to
find
prepare.
find that boss. It was also as a
It's essential.
lesson not to be so sensitive, and I mean, for the children, because it just kinda reminds me of a story Bishop Lewis told me, and it's more of an anecdote than a story. One brother walking through the halls of the, friary, and then he sees Father Guardian, and he says, "Good morning" to the father, and the father just doesn't really say anything because he's thinking about something, he's lost in thought, but for the young little friar passing him, he's sitting like, "Oh, did I do something? Oh, is Father Guardian angry at me? Something did I do? Well, what did I do wrong?" And it's kind of a lesson for us is that you see somebody is like, okay, who's as a position of authority, as a responsibility, they're not being mean or rude. They might be a little short. It's not all going to be flowers and daisies, but to grow and understand and have an appreciation, because as you said, sister, you're going to be in that too someday. That's a part of growing up. You might find yourself having to do that for people who have more experience than you, but you got to be the one to kind of step up and handle things.
Well, and you need that obvious person in charge. And you need like the one person in charge, not a bunch of people in charge, and that's I just like to be told what to do. So
Oh, I am great at telling people what to do.
I think you were made for this. We all have our strengths because even as you were talking, Father, about like the young friar to the guardian, I definitely probably would have been like, "Oh, did I do something wrong? Are they upset with
Yeah,
me?" And
me too.
even at my age now, I've definitely calmed down in that mindset, but it still probably
Mhm.
like lingers. And then you realize that not everything is about you. You probably are your most important thought, but you're not everybody else's. Like no one's really thinking that deep. But that is kinda,
That's true.
and I think about that, like, as a teenager, like, a lot of things embarrass the things that, like, now, like, if it happened, like, "Oh, okay, like, I can move on to that," but stuff, like, I would analyze and think about and lay awake at night over, like, the most insignificant things, but as a teenager or even young adult, you just don't have that confidence yet, and, I mean and I think what's beautiful about what we've been doing and seeing the development, but also if we do make a mistake, we admit it, we work through it. I can't think of anything, like, specific in this, but even in my catechism classes, I'm very clear if I don't know the answer, I tell them I don't know the answer, but we can find it, and letting people know that that's normal too. So, maybe some of the older kids can probably look back and think and remember when we didn't have the centers and could look back, well, things got better when this happened. It'll be kinda interesting to see as maybe some of these older kids get older and what their memories will be like too.
Mhm.
Of course, what is great that we did this year, and I'll be sharing this with our listeners, we actually took recordings of children and what their favorite thing was or what they liked to be, I had to put that in there because one child was very specific that she liked something, but um, she didn't say it was her favorite. So that'll be something that they'll also get to look back on too. And it was very interesting to listen to the very different answers, but clay was very popular.
What was the popular? I was very disappointed that clay was pretty much so we always do 2 centers of a craft each time, and clay was pretty much the only craft anyone called out. We did painting, so they got to paint with watercolors and then we did a Band-Aid craft talking about how Jesus heals everyone, and then obviously the handprint craft that they've done every year, their handprint on a T-shirt. I was a little disappointed everyone stuck with the clay, but it's okay.
I'll just say for now on, just throw a hunk of clay in the middle of a table and say, "Have at it, kids. Do what you want."
We're taking a break, children. What people listen to is one of them did say they enjoy playing the games that because usually the center I have is some sort of game. And sometimes when I sit there, I was like, is this really engaging? And it is. I mean, what was really funny is that one day we had a matching game. So I did Apostles matching game. And the first group I had is the oldest group of children. And I shuffled these cards. Not only did I shuffle them, but I laid them out of order. Wouldn't you know, a whole row and a half, they were one right next to each other was a match, and the kids were all just, like, teasing me. It's like, "You didn't shuffle these." It was really actually kind of fun. It was funny, and we were joking about it, and so the next game we played is like, well, they all wanted to shuffle them because they didn't trust me, and it's just like a little joke that we had, but that
That's
such a simple
memorable.
yeah, it was such a simple game, and I thought, like, what, is this doing something? But of course it is. It's also just spending time with me. Well, any of us, but it's just the time together. We played bingo. We just have all sorts of things going on. I have an idea for next year. I just have to still flush it out, depending if we're sticking with the same theme we talked about. So, but that's the thing we have. What 11 months till the next one. Which
Mm,
which is oh.
And it's fun to try and come up with ideas. So,
Mhm.
I mean, I will say some of the outdoor games, some of the children really enjoyed them. Some of them were like, Bridget, these are not below us, but these are kind of cheesy.
Mhm.
mhm.
Like, as we were focused on the parables and the miracles, like I had the Easter eggs, and we pretended that the Easter eggs were the loaves of bread that Jesus multiplied, and you had to go gather the loaves of bread. And they were like, the older ones were all kind of like, that's a stretch.
Yeah.
The younger ones had so much fun going to find all the Easter eggs.
And one of them that was mentioned, I think twice, but at least for sure once, was the parachute game. Can you explain what that was?
So the outdoor parachutes. So, those big parachutes that everyone can hold multiple sides and go up and down with.
Yeah, I realized
You
that was
play.
a thing that people did in school. We didn't do that in
Yeah,
school,
you
but
did it in gym class,
we
up
did
and
not.
down parachutes. So again, going back to Christ's miracles, that was the storm or that was the sea,
Okay.
They put a ball on it, and so the ball was the boat. They were and they were the sea, and then when someone yelled, "Peace be still," they had to calm the sea. They did, hide a lost sheep, so we got a little Fisher Price sheep from the nativity set, and so that was the lost sheep, and so they had to go find the lost sheep. So Henry's in charge of our outdoor games,
Mhm.
and he would hide the sheep one time, and then whoever found the sheep got to hide it the next time.
Oh,
Well,
that's a nice idea.
I'd actually would play that, that
So, I mean, they took turns hiding the sheep and then having to find the lost sheep. They also got to play Fishers of Men, so we took giant hula hoops and we put, pool noodles around them,
That one
and
I saw.
one person was the fisher, and so everyone else had to stand in a line, and they got to try and throw the hula hoop across their head to fish
Mm-mm.
them for Fishers of Men.
Some of them were not baptized, I'll tell you that.
Some of them were the bad fish that never made it
They
into the net.
just they were the ones thrown out. No, it was fun, and unlike years past, because we had the solemn high mass on that Friday, which of course was a different meal. Usually on Fridays, like we would have benediction, right? We
Correct.
started having
So we did
benediction,
benediction
have a
Thursday.
procession, which I think that the kids enjoy. And I know the
Mhm.
reason having benediction is not something that they get to see very often, because when it does happen, it's pretty early in the morning, and to have a procession and you started doing a procession. Do you do it every month?
Most months we'll do a procession if it's pouring down rain. We don't want to walk outside in the rain. But after we came back from Mexico, so when we had gone down for the dedication or the consecration of Cristo Rey, Bishop Giles had decided that we should start doing a procession with the children. We didn't really have an end goal in mind, but we have a Lady of Guadalupe statue. So Brother Pascal built a little platform, and so 4 children can carry the statue. And so that December after that, we started doing a procession, and we've done it pretty consistently
Uh,
since
yeah,
then for about, I guess
yeah.
now, almost a year, 2 years, I don't even
It was
know. Um,
October of
we've
23 is when we went down to Mexico.
So we did it pretty much all of 24, most of 2025. We've switched up a couple of months, like in May, we'll practice for May crowning instead of doing that
Yeah,
procession.
yeah, make
Or in February, we practice Candlemas procession instead of this procession. But the children have gotten very good at working through their procession, carrying Marianne, everyone else carrying their flowers, trying to space them properly, walk together, genuflecting correctly in front of the altar. So they've gotten a lot better at doing that. But we do it pretty consistently, once a month.
and it's interesting because it was kind of, that trip to Mexico, and then the Bishop Giles specifically, expressing his desires to figure out a way to really get the children to work together towards something like a procession. And I believe that little tidbit, seeing what had transpired down in Mexico, like the dedication, all that, seeing all that activity, and then the mass and whatnot, I think kind of was the spark for us to wanna do something big and to do it soon.
yeah,
And it was early 2024, and that's what's crazy, is just how long ago this actually started. The plans for this particular year I was in Wisconsin, and I was sitting in the car with Father Anthony, going somewhere, not exactly sure how we jumped on it, but just the idea of doing something big. And of course, I brought up, well, in at that point, 6 years will be Bishop Giles' 25th anniversary to the episcopacy. It's like, well, we could do something then. And Father Anthony's like, well, maybe we should do something for his 20th. And which was very wise on many levels, especially when you consider that, because we wanted to give something the children to work towards. And if in another 5 years, a lot of these older kids are gonna be teenagers and they're gonna be a different kind of busy. Maybe, and God willing, with all we're working, they're not gonna be disinterested in church things, but when you get to be into high school and summertime feels different, some of them might be taking on jobs. 5 years is a huge difference. But we also wanted to have them experience at the age they are now, so that we could do something again in 5 years. And it'll be something that they're accustomed to and look forward to. Because I will say, and we'll talk about the Solemn High Mass at a different time, but I think the majority of people, children included, really saw that as something special. So I have no regrets doing something, even though it was a lot of work. And I remember, so Father and I kind of hatched the idea early 2024. I went and asked the bishop when I got back to New York, and he was like, sure, why not? Great. Because he also saw the wisdom, because the only way the children are going to do anything and you'll actually process properly is, well, to work for it, but actually have a goal, something that something in their minds like, well, this date's going to be happening. This is when we're going to do it. So they give them something to look forward to.
Mhm.
And that is just, it's so important and it's so key. And I remember it was probably like May of 2024 where we were getting together for a children's retreat meeting for that year, and I had decided, I was like, well, just throw this idea at Bridget. And I started with the whole no. It's like, I realize I'm suggesting something big and I won't be there to do the majority of the work. But I mean,
What's that one phrase to me?
but not surprising, not surprised, like, yeah, this is a good idea. And it developed into something quite, for us, I would say extraordinary. I mean, I'm sure for some people that would maybe look at other groups or whatnot, sure, it's not a big number of children. Who cares? I mean, we did it. We started something great, and it's going to evolve. Yeah, a lot of planning. So when we talk about, like, we planned the 10th year even before we had the ninth year, is kind of crazy to think about,
Yeah.
what that was all going to look like, and choosing, trying to pick a date that, so we could give everyone in our different missions a chance to work out details, sending out save the dates.
Mhm.
And we had a decent turnout. I realized that
Yeah.
not everyone could travel, but
And, we knew we wanted to associate it with the children's retreat because we wanted the children so involved, and we knew they were going to be there. And it was a special event for them. Also, there was the other thing that prompted me to suggest the 20th is that we have so many of our people who have been with us for many, many years, and some of them are getting up. And in 5 years, it's going to be a lot harder for them to make some kind of trip. So you wanted them to be involved to really see. I had a few people say to me that the solemn high mass, which we might as well, touch upon that a little bit, they call it like a once in a lifetime experience, which my response is, I hope it's not.
So I'm not gonna lie, Father, that's how I phrased it to a lot of these children to try and get them excited. But this is a once in a lifetime experience.
it
Like, this
could
is
be.
a
Oh,
special experience. Like, we had 5 clergy here for your retreat,
yeah.
for you all. They are going out of their way. Like, this is special this year. And I did use the phrase once in a lifetime because I do think, well, I hope it's not once in their lifetime. I do think that it was a once in a lifetime experience with us starting it.
Well,
Mhm.
it is your once in a lifetime first experience of it for a lot of these
Yeah.
children. So
Mhm.
you're never going to have the first experience ever again. I
And I
would,
think they're all at the right age. A lot of them are at the right age to really get something from it too.
Mhm.
And to, it generated a lot of questions. I don't know if you've seen it yet, Father. I do have a list of questions when we do get to the
Yeah,
solemn math.
I
Yeah.
did see that. They're very extensive and they're very good. Without getting too much into the ceremony itself, because as you said, that'll be this next episode or one of the next ones. It was such a lovely thing to having the clergy come together for the ceremony. And I I I remember Father Joseph saying to me early on when I brought this up to him, he said, "We've never done anything like this before." And I was like, "And?" Because we've had nobody willing to say, "Let's do this. Let's put forth the effort." It's not like, "Hey, this was June of this year," and said, "Hey, let's have a big old celebration." No, this was a lot of planning involved. And I also had someone say that, okay, it was Father Joseph, who was like, "Well, it seems to me that was because of what happened in Mexico." Yeah, we were inspired by what we saw in Mexico.
Well, our bishop expressed wishes to Bridget, even down in Mexico, what he would like to see the children do, because Bishop Madrigal has a lot of work he does with the children down there.
Mhm,
And why not do something? We have the children, and we
mhm.
have people willing to put something together. When your bishop asks for something and he asks for so little, you want to to do
Yeah.
that. And I do know that he was very moved by all of it. And I will share also probably just before we released the episode, a video I put together of the children's procession. I mean, it's not a video of it, but it's a picture slide. So you can just kind of see, because what also happened was one of the requests that I don't know if he made a request. I think you posed the question to him, Bridget. Do you want to share, where I'm going with this?
I think as we were planning for this, one of the suggestions that came up was having the children at least have like a sash or a banner or something to make them feel special as they are going through the procession. And as I was talking to Bishop Giles about it, he was like, they should all just match. They should all have matching outfits. Suggested navy. So we put all of the children in matching navy dresses, all the girls in matching navy dresses, all of the boys in navy pants with a navy vest and white shirts. So all of the children were matching in their procession, which I think made it even more special for them and really set it apart from anything else we've
I
ever done. Like,
and I also appreciated the time given to the children to practice.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
I wasn't trying to, like, brush it off when we did a first one. I thought they did a great job. I mean, the first run through, they did a really nice job, but it was still good to tighten it up even more. And I was just kind of
so
funny because I was the master of ceremonies. So I was busy. I was running around getting stuff together, and I had to come back for something. And it's about 20 minutes. To get back to your confessions. It was 20 minutes before the ceremony began, and I see the children processing. And I stopped for a moment going, "What time is it?" I'm like, "What's going on here? What the procession? What did I
we had the
like, did I miss something? Was the procession happening like 20 minutes before the ceremony? What's going on?" Until I realized dad wasn't playing anything.
we had them practice
I know.
the morning.
I know that's what was going on now, but in the moment, because I was running around,
He scared you.
I was like, "Did I miss it?" It's like, "Ah."
They They practiced during the retreat, so we did it 3 or 4 times during the actual retreat, and then the morning of, we did it twice before we actually did the
Yes.
processional.
And I wanna give, well, the parents of these children's, but all the children's, but the parents of the children and the children a lot of credit, because, they had an arrival time of 9:30, 30 minutes
9:30.
early. Yeah. So a half hour before the ceremony. So that involved, like, the parent, getting the children up, getting them dressed, getting them together, getting themselves there. And just a reminder to a lot of our listeners, even the people that live in Kentucky do not live just down the road from where the church is. A lot of them at least have a 20-minute drive. So it wasn't a day for them to really make this. It was a sacrifice. And the reminder that sacrifice isn't a bad thing. Actually a very beautiful thing, but sacrifices were made to make this possible on so many levels. And really everybody having a long week, that everybody showed up and, did what they were supposed to do. I think it went quite beautifully. One of the elements we added as well was the coat of arms. I think like about a year and a half ago, I had that digitalized, and then we had a banner made, and
Mhm.
one of the oldest boys carried that to lead the procession, and it looks
Which boy
great.
was it?
Amos.
Amos.
That was Amos. He did a really nice job too.
Yeah, he did. I really did not have to worry, because in my back of my mind is like, is he gonna be able to get that into the stand? Am I gonna have to help him? Like, what if it falls over and, like, it's chaotic, because my brain goes there. But he had it under control.
He practiced.
Yeah, exactly. Practice makes perfect. And I really liked, it wasn't planned, at least not originally, but it ended up being that I was up there in front as the children were walking up to collect the roses and put them in the vase. So that kind of gave me something to do too, but also because I was going to be up there to make sure everything was okay. I think the first time we even practiced, I start crying because, it was so sweet. And I was like, how am I going to get through this for the actual, before the ceremony? Thankfully, I pulled myself together by that time, because we practiced enough so I could get it all out. But just to see them in their outfits, to see their excitement because they worked towards it. And I think, it's going to be a memory for them for years to come, and for the parents, the adults.
I don't wanna forget to bring this up, but the one aspect about this year's children's retreat that I was really excited was to have Bishop Madrigal there attending, and Father Joseph, although it was a shorter period, but to have Bishop Madrigal and then to just kinda say, "Hey, you're gonna be involved. You're gonna be with Bishop Giles and talk with the children." And he was down for anything. He was like, "Yes, whatever you need, I will do it. Yes, I will talk to the children. Yes." It was wonderful.
And I will say, I think that left an impression on the children. Like, I have no idea what they actually talked about in that room, but so many of the children were like, "It was so nice talking to Bishop Madrigal." Like,
Well, I know one thing they talked about as I'm as I was walking by, they started talking about, like, the parables of the Good Samaritan. I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 we already talked about the Good Samaritan. Chesterton covered all that needed to be covered, Your Excellency. You don't need to, don't ride that horse anymore, okay?" But, he's the bishop. He's got better insight than a puppet dragon, so.
I do think they talked about how the church is universal and
Mhm.
how we have 7 sacraments and Bishop Madrigal has 7 sacraments, and we have 10 commandments and Bishop Madrigal has 10 commandments. So even though it's a different culture, it's a
Well,
different
um,
country, it is the
that is
universality of
important,
the.
important lesson.
And I think that was even more clear how important or the wisdom of the church with mass in Latin, because no matter what, we could all pray together in Latin. The people from Mexico could join us in prayer in Latin, and we could join them in prayer in Latin. And it was just it was a clear example of why that's why the church did what it did for that purpose.
And I will say, is touching on that working together, it reminds me with the psalm, "It's a beautiful thing when brothers work together in as one." And I never felt like any one person too much was put upon them. We all helped one another, respected everyone and what they were doing. This year I was more involved in preparations than I ever have been. Usually it's like I just come in, play with Chesterton, play with the kids, and go home. But having to help arrange picking up, dropping off, various clergy. One of my favorite things in here, and it was hilarious. I arrived Monday morning. We left, no, yeah, we left early Monday morning that week. I got a message from Mexico. We were expecting 3 people, Bishop Madrigal and 2 of the gentlemen, Roberto and Hugo, wonderful men. And I get a message from them telling me that we have 2 other people are coming along, 2 ladies, 2 wonderful ladies. I never met them before, but I was like, we didn't have any place to put them. I was like, they were Bishop Madrigal, we had arranged was gonna come back to Wisconsin with me for
Oh my
Sunday mass. I have no way of transporting them. So it was a bit of a hectic kind of running around, but it was like, we just gotta roll with it. We were able to put those ladies in the crying room and yeah, they were comfortable. But it's just how you just one of those examples. You plan, you plan, you plan, but so much you just gotta roll with whatever happens. I love it when a plan comes together. I really do. I think that was God's plan because it was a wonderful experience to have our brothers and sisters from Mexico come and join us for this.
Well, and it's blessed are the flexible so they don't get bent out of shape. Because it was probably,
Yeah.
what, a week before the retreat, we found out that Father Martin was coming
Mhm.
too, which was I said to Bridget when I found out, I was like, "Well, if there's ever gonna be anyone as a last minute inclusion, he's the exception." I was like, anything else, anyone else that wanted to come to the celebration, it would have been like, "Well, we counted for this number. We only have" I'm sure we had leftover food. That's not the point. It's like we gave people ample time
Yeah.
to register. Always an interesting thing for the reminders, and I just sometimes it's like, is it so hard to just let us know? But I won't go on that tangent. I mean,
Mm,
just yes or
yeah.
no. Just
Yeah.
you're not gonna hurt my feelings, but we just want to know because a lot of details went into just the celebration, like this reception after as well.
But yeah, but with Father Martin coming, for me, I guess I'll bring it more up in the next episode, but it was a game changer, with how the ceremony was going to process. progress, I should say is the word. But the other thing that I really appreciated, I know, you asked me, did you brought up the balloon arch to me, or did I bring up the idea of a balloon arch?
You brought up
I
the
said
idea of a balloon.
I said, "Let's have a
We were
balloon arch," and you said, which one was it? Rachel that made the balloon
so
arch?
so you as we were brainstorming on one of these calls, you said, "A balloon arch,"
Let's have a
and you were joking. It was a joke, and I said, "Father, if you are serious, Rachel has a balloon arch, we can make a balloon arch happen." And I think you thought I was joking, but we made the balloon arch happen.
Well, I knew
Rachel
you weren't
yeah,
joking by the time when we got close to the retreat, but originally I might have thought you were joking, but then you brought up like, "Oh, no, this is happening." And then
it
you asked me
happened.
the colors, and you couldn't have picked better color. I think I was, like, going Episcopal colors, but the color
You had told me red,
red
but, like, the red was too red, so we went with
red
the navy.
yeah, but
Beautiful.
it worked really ni it looked really good.
What's funny to me is in the video of the concert, you were just in between songs, you reminded the children not to play with the balloon arch, and you said that that was your balloon arch, and one of the kids is like, "No, no, no, that belongs to my mom." And even Octavius knew that, no, Father Anthony requested the balloon arch, so it's like a known thing that you had something to do with it. So
And it
it's
got
just funny
popping.
to me how
I
that
was
was
very
I
therapeutic.
I don't know if you're aware of this, Father, though, but the cleanup of that was not fun. It was not fun. Not fun at all.
Especially the confetti balloons. Note to
Oh,
self, don't put confetti
no,
balloons up there.
no, no. Next balloon arch, Father, you can pop it, but you're gonna clean it up. Get maybe the shop vac would have been what we needed. I don't know. But or you tell children, like, "Okay, children, you can pop it, but you have to stay for cleanup."
There you go.
So, I mean,
Well, I
you
popped it
got
at
it
the right
done.
time. I popped it just before I left.
Sister and I cleaned it up, don't worry.
Yeah, good
Fun, fun,
times.
fun. No, it was, but then, yeah, the nice plates for the clergy, the china, I guess. Was it china? I don't know.
Well, real plate.
You all had china
It
during the
was
celebration.
really it was and then, yeah, the girls did a wonderful job serving us, which
Yep,
is
we had
really
3 of the
it's hard for a
3 of
Franciscan to be served. I find it's weird to be served. You're just like, you don't wanna,
well,
just, I'll get it, don't worry about me, but they're like, "No."
we we also find it hard to serve you all because when we ask what you would like, the response we get is, "We're Franciscans, we'll eat whatever you put in front of us." So it's very hard to make
Well,
plates for
I
you.
thought I was pretty, standard. I mean, they'd be like, "Father, what would you want?" "Yes." "Well, what would you want
Right?
on it?" "Yes." "Well, how about that?" "Yes." Did you understand? Anything that is an option is a yes. Just put it on my
I mean,
plate.
I will say for me, it is kind of nice that rare occasions, like, you know what? Because I tend to be like overthinker when it comes to food and what I'm eating and blah, 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 blah. And just to know that I'm resigning to God's will, will just to whatever you're gonna put on my plate. Like I'm not gonna, ooh, that's a lot of carbs or whatnot. It's like that's not a lot of protein. It's like it doesn't matter. You're eating what clearly God wants you to eat. So it's kind of a nice treat for me. I mean, I did get an enjoyment out of when Emma came by because she made pies for the celebration, and Bishop Madrigal was definitely enjoying the apple pie. I mean, he had a few servings of it, so it's good to know.
Uh,
His enthusiasm was just so catching. It was what another aspect to, the children's concert that people will hear is you can hear his encouragement too, like, encouraging them on because the children were probably a little bit nervous, and when you watch it, you could tell what songs they were more confident in, but I still think they did really good with the 2 hymns and then the 2 fun Bible songs, so
mhm.
and then they're in their matching outfits. It was just so nice. It was so nice.
It was a very memorable 10-year children's retreat combined with a 20th year celebration.
Yep.
It just worked out beautifully, didn't it? It's like you planned the whole
Did.
thing from the beginning. It just, but, yeah, I hope it's not something that just only happens a few times. I like to be more frequent and the children to be more involved with the clergy, the lay the clergy, old religious, and get such an exposure where they can say, "Maybe this is what God wants me to do. Maybe I'm called to be like sister or to be like, father, to be like with the bishop. Maybe I'm called to that." And it's something you actually consider. And even if it's not the vocation, still the exposure is spiritually beneficial. And that's well, hence, Bridget, that's the whole reason you asked for sister to come down.
I'm sorry I had to be what's the word I'm looking for? I mean, I'm the only one here, so
Catalyst.
yeah, it's just like so anyone that follows will just, be okay. But I was just gonna add maybe like a final thing is
Mhm.
something that we as far as exposure that, it wasn't as great of a turnout as we expected, but, there's still people that came is that the night before the celebration, we had set up a little schedule of the rosary, little break in between, and then for people to join us as we chanted Compline and then night prayers. And it was really nice that we were all there chanting the office for the nighttime, and that's not something that we all get to experience very often, and I know I brought this up to Bridget, I think at the retreat, it's something I don't think a lot of our people really realize in the sense that as Franciscans, the sacrifice, especially the priests make, that they don't get to live out their community life because they're not together. So for all of us to have mass regularly, there's that separation from your brothers, from those who are supposed to be right there next to you praying on a regular basis, daily basis. And that's not, that's a sacrifice you all make and how we really should. I'm not saying it to shame anyone if you never thought about it that way, but just maybe when you think about, if you attempt to think about how much we don't have in terms of what should be the Catholic Church, appreciate what we do still have. And it's a lot of it is from the sacrifices that our clergy make because to chant divine office is it's a pleasure to do. It's something that we really enjoy. And I mean, the bishop and I say it together. We're probably the only ones right now that get to say it quite regularly because everybody else is separated. For that opportunity for all of us to get together and pray together was a real treat. And it was nice to see some young people come to that.
I was gonna say that may have been another one that I told everyone. This is a once in a lifetime experience. You need to go experience.
Yep, and I even, I sent to the mothers that came with some of the children what the psalms were that we were chanting so they could look them up in scripture in English later on, and then to sing the Salve Regina together. I mean, that's just it was just such a nice opportunity because, I mean, the last time I think I said chanted divine office with that many was at your, ordination, Father. So it's just again, I'm not saying this to make anyone feel bad, but just it's good to recognize the sacrifices. And I know all of us really do know when you think about how Bishop Giles travels every weekend to Kentucky. Father Anthony, you go to Illinois twice a month and then up further up north twice a month. And I know Father Joseph goes to Oregon quarterly, I think, in Phoenix. And you all are all over the place and shouldering a lot. And we're very grateful for that.
I am grateful you all added our children's retreat to your travel schedules.
Well, as, I guess on behalf of the clergy, thank you. And, well, when you especially you become a priest, you realize your life is not your own, and it is meant for the sanctification of the people, and I say unfortunately, but you can't do that being a hermit in a cave. You have to go out among the people, and you have to be able to discuss things on the level, be versed in a variety of topics, and to show a genuine interest in what the faithful do, and showing an interest in the children. Not just I'm telling you to do something, you do it, but be actually interested in what they have to say. If you give them that interest, they will return it with an interest in what you're saying. And if it's about God, then that is all the more beneficial. And again, it's about the salvation of souls. And if one soul can get to heaven through these efforts, it's all worth it. It's all worth it.
It's interesting how, like, that's true, but it still sounds sad.
It does sound sad, but you're not hoping just one,
I know.
but if it
It's just
was just one, it's all worth it. So, but you do it all for the greater honor and glory of God. And that's the whole reason why we have to do this and we do anything. So Well, with that said, Sister Bridget, I'm going to say, Deo gracias.